Okay, so we are going to solve the practice problems, and it says solve using proportions. You are also welcome to solve using the equations method. Either way, you'll get the exact same answer. So I'm actually going to go back and forth between the equations method and the proportions method, just so you can see that no matter what, you get the exact same answer. So I'm going to start off with the proportion method for number 1, and it says what percent of, so percent of, and then we use the proportions method of is next to our whole number. So that's going to go on bottom. So of 5 is next to our part. So 3 goes on top. So what percent of 5 is 3? So 3 over 5 equals some percent over 100, or some number over 100. I'm going to cross multiply, and I get 300 equals p times 5, which is 5p. I divide by 5 on both sides. Those cancel. And 300 divided by 5 is 60. So p equals 60. So our percent is 60%. We don't have to multiply by 100 because we put it over 100, so we've already kind of counteracted that for us. I'm going to show you really quick that you can also do the equations method here. So what percent of means we're going to multiply. So we have some percent of means multiply. 5 is 3, and is means equal. So then I draw my line. I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides to get p by itself. And 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. And then remember, whenever we are searching for a percent, we have to multiply by 100. And I get p equals 60%. So we get the same answer no matter what. So number 2, I'm just going to use the proportions method on this one. So 24 is, that's my part. So 24 goes on top. What percent of 20, so 20 goes on bottom, equals some percent over 100. Cross multiply. 24 times 100 is 2400 equals p times 20. I'm multiplying by 20. The opposite is to divide by 20. And 2400 divided by 20 is 120 equals p. So p equals 120%. The reason that we have a number bigger than 100 for our percent is because our part is larger than our whole. So it's almost like if you've got extra credit on a test, you could get more than 100 points or more than your total score. So this is like you got 4 bonus points out of 20 points on a test, and that would give you 120%. Number 3, I'm going to use the equations method. So what number is means equals. What number is, so since that's next to our is, we know this is our part. So my part equals 80% times 60, because of means multiply. Before I can do anything with this, I have to take my percent and divide by 100. And so 80 divided by 100 is 0.8 times 60 equals my p. Now, since p is already by itself, we're just going to plug this into our calculator. So we have 0.8 times 60 and we get 48 equals my part. For number 4, we're going to use the proportions method just to show you. And so if you used a different method, that's okay. So we have 10% of, so we know our percent, so 10 out of 100 of 40.5. Of is always next to our whole, so this is our whole. So 40.5 is what number? This is my part. So P goes on top. And now I cross multiply. So P times 100 is 100P. And 40.5 times 10 is 405. I'm going to divide by 100 on both sides. P equals 4.05, or 4 5/100. And that makes sense because let's say we had a test that was out of 40.5 points, 10% of that, which means that we did not do very well on that test, would be a 4.05. So it'd be a small amount because a 10% on your test means that we only got a couple of the questions correct. All right, number 5, we have 1/10 of a percent, or 1/10 of a percent of what number is 4. So I'm going to do both ways on this one. So we know our percent is 0.1 out of 100 of what number? This is my W, this is my whole, is 4, this is my part. So my part goes on top, so 4 out of my W, and I don't know what that is. Cross multiply, and I have 0.01 W equals 400. I'm now going to divide by 0.01, so that way these cancel, leaving me with W on the left side of my equation. And 400 divided by 0.1, or 1/10. Oops, I wrote that wrong up here. Sorry. Dividing by 0.1 on both sides. Anyway, I divide by 0.1, I get 4,000 for my W. So my whole was 4,000 and my part was only 4, so I got 4 out of 4,000. And then if I did it as an equation, so I would have what number, 0.1% of what number is my W equals, because that's my is, 4. Before I can do anything with my equation, I need to divide that by 100. So I get 0.001 W equals 4. I need to divide by my 1,000th. That way those cancel, leaving me with W equals 4 divided by 0.001 equals 4,000. So we got the same answer no matter what method you chose. Number 6, we have 1/2 is. So 1/2 is, 1/2 goes on top. 25%, so 25 over 100, because that's my percent, of what number? That's my W. So I'm going to cross multiply. 1/2 times 100 1/2 is 0.5, so 0.5 times 100 is 50, so they think of it as like half of 100. So I have 50 equals 25W, divide by 25 on both sides. Those cancel, and so W equals 2. All right. An Arctic woolly bear caterpillar lives for 7 years and spends 90% of its life frozen. I do not know what an Arctic woolly bear caterpillar is, but I'm totally going to Google that later. Anyway, how many days of its life is the Arctic woolly bear frozen? So I'm going to use the proportions method for this. I think it's a little bit easier to set up when using a word problem. So we know right away that my percent is 90 because it has the percent sign. So I can fill out 90 over 100 pretty quickly. Then it says 7 years of its life. This is its whole life. So it only lives for about 7 years. And so that would be my whole number. So that goes on bottom. And I want to know my part. So how long is it actually frozen for? So now I'm going to cross multiply. So 90 times 7 gives me 630 equals P times 100, which is 100P. Draw my line and divide by 100 on both sides to get P by itself. Those cancel. And I get P equals 6.3. However, you'll notice it says, well, how many days of its life is it frozen? And this was in years. So this is saying 6.3 years of its life it's frozen for. So I'm going to take this a little bit further, and I'm going to multiply this by 365. Why 365? That's because 365 would be how many days. This is how many days we have in a year. So when I do that, I get 2,299.5. So 2,299.5 days it's frozen.